Hello everyone, again I'm back on my wife's channel to make something new for her. Not exactly new, I've made this thing before, but the idea is to use old material, something which is a waste, and make something new out of it. On top of that, if you remember that scene from Friends where Joey and Chandler, they're playing foosball, and Joey says, how crazy would it be if there was a life-size version of this? Going on the very same idea, I'm sure that you've played different mazes, getting the ball bearing through the maze into the center and whatnot. So how crazy would it be if we could actually use these as the ball bearings and have a life-size or a bigger version of a maze, which would be handheld nonetheless. So let's try that again. The last time I made that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun making that and a lot of fun playing that. We ended up in a competition starting from the youngest of my children, who was 4 years old at that time, or probably 3. And my mother-in-law, she was playing that maze as well. So it was quite fun. The whole family enjoyed it. And during the move from one house to another, that thing is pretty much lost. So we are trying to make another one. So the things that you would be needing for this, obviously, marbles, which is any size marbles. I'll probably not go for the bigger one, but it's really fun and it's another thing which you can go for. Maybe I can use this as a limit for the paths in the maze. But probably these 3 marbles I'll be going for the maze. Besides that, you need basically a paper cutter or an X-Acto knife, a pencil, probably, a pen, some wood glue, a scissor, a scale, and some piece of thread. But most important of all, this thing is going to be made out of cardboard. So what I'm using is a throwaway piece which comes with the milk, the UHT treated milk that comes over in the country. Again, this is not a sponsored video, but if someone would like to sponsor, please go ahead. So this is what the box looks like. I'm not entirely certain whether you can see it clearly or not, and I'll just put it down a bit so that you can see it properly. So you do not need the whole box, you just need a side of it, and we'll go along. So this is the box that I was talking about. So the idea is that we'll probably use only this specific portion and make a circle out of it, and we'll make the pathways of the maze, and we'll create the barriers using the same cardboard box. And that would be a handheld maze, slightly bigger in size and more fun, and a good activity. I definitely enjoy doing that, my kids definitely enjoy playing that, and I'm sure that you will too. So I'll get going and I'll explain the process along the way. So the idea is that I have to find the center. The scale is not big enough, but nonetheless, let's give it a shot. So starting from here, it's about the same. It's 17 centimeters and about 17 centimeters. So we'll be using the push pin. Again, the purpose is to make concentric circles, and for that you can either go for a compass or you can go for a thread. So the radius, the optimal radius is about 12 centimeters. So let's just draw a circle over here. Considering the size of the marble is about 4.5 centimeter. So the distance between has to be bigger than that, so 2 centimeters would be ideal. So let's draw circles at 2.5 centimeters. Reason being that obviously the width of this cardboard has to be considered as well, which is about 2.5 millimeters. So just to be on the safe side, let's draw concentric circles at 2.5 centimeters. That way we would cater for the border as well, and the ball would be rolling within that. So this was 12 centimeters. Let's reduce it down to 9.5 centimeters. So from now on 9.5 centimeters, we would be going down to 7 centimeters. From 7, we would go down to 4.5 centimeters. So this would be about slightly bigger. There you go. Now let's, just for fun, from 4.5 let's go down to 2 centimeters. We may or may not use this. Let's see if I can fit in all the 3 marbles within this small circle. It's going to be difficult, but if I keep the border on the outer side of it, on the outer side of the circle, I believe it would be able to. It would be difficult for the player, but I guess that's the fun of it. Now, one more thing that needs to be done over here. Since this is a maze, you have to define where the border would be and how the path would be starting. So we can sort of add a slit over here, sort of, which breaks it off, and the marble would have to roll from all the way over here, and we can have an opening over here, and it can roll from here to, let's make it go downside a bit. So it would come down here, and just for confusion's sake, let's say we have a slit over here, a blockage over here, which would confuse the individual, and they can go over here and it would be blocked. But so they would actually have to move back down here, and this would be the right path. So you go up here, you take a U-turn, move over here, go back into the main lobby, go back up here. So we can have a barrier over here, and from there you can move up, but you could simply move up from here and then go over there. So we can have a double barrier over here. So this way, now you have to go over here, up, down, all the way up over here, and then over here. and you can either opening here, and this can be extended the barrier. Now you're up in this circle. So while you're here, this is the barrier, and you get over here, and you can get into over here, and this would be the opening for this, the innermost circle. And so from all the way over here, you have to go over there, and that way you would reach the center. So slight confusion in here makes a bit more fun, and you have where to add barriers. Let me just refine it just a little bit. So we can erase this, and this will be better once we have actually started doing it. So let's start cutting this, the outer shape, and then when you're cutting the boundaries of the maze, you have to be extremely careful, and I'll show you the reason about that why as well. But we'll start cutting this. We'll cut the other part of the barriers so that they can be molded easily, and then we'll start placing them over here as per the design which has been decided. This is what happens when you're playing with marbles. But anyways, so we're done cutting this out, and it did cut out a bit smooth, just a few notches that will have to be refined. But now creating the borders, there's one thing specifically that you have to consider. So if you look at any cardboard, this is how a cardboard generally goes. So this is a corrugated sheet which actually goes inside. The reason why they do that is that it increases the strength. That's the whole science behind that. But when you're actually trying to mold it, if you try to break it from here, it's going to be difficult, and you cannot mold it any way you want. But the only way to mold it is this way. But you cannot exactly mold it the way you like, because nonetheless there is some stiffness inside. So that's where you will need to be a bit careful, and you'll have to help the cardboard along the way. So let me just give you a small example over here. So let's assume that this is the piece that you would like to mold, which would go around over here. So if you see over here, these are some parts would be more bent as compared to the others. So one way to actually make this a bit better is that you add some notches at the back side, so it becomes a bit easier to mold. So let me just do this one part a bit, and then hopefully this will be a bit more clear. So just pick up any scale, any blade, and add a few notches. So the outer layer of the cardboard would actually have these notches, and the inner layer would then be smooth to be bent any way that you like. So once you have this, so if you see, they did not actually go too deep or deep enough. So this is how it goes. Now it can be bent in any way, shape or form, and it can be made into a perfect circle as well. Even like, we're not going for this small, but the purpose is to actually show you that this is something which needs to be done. And this is how I would make boundaries for this using just cardboard, but we will go along with these lines of the corrugated sheet rather than going against them. So the boundary, and be careful of all the critters, but the boundary of this maze is going to be slightly higher, considering that the base of it is about 3 millimeters, and I would like it to be slightly higher than the other boundary walls inside the maze. So I'll go with rather than 2.5, I'll go with 3 centimeters on this. So now we have a roll of corrugated sheets. So these 3 which are slightly longer, they are for the borders. So these would be for the external borders, as compared to these which are obviously slightly smaller. So the extra over here is going to cover the thickness of this maze. So let's start with the border itself. Get rid of the marbles for now, and the internal ones as well. We'll take care of them a bit later.